Hello, Federico. Thank you very much for being with us here today. I have a lot of questions about real time editing, but I have also a lot of questions about you. Who is Federico? Can you talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, good morning and nice to meet you. So I joined Evernote a few months ago. Before that, I worked on the acquisition itself inside Bending Spoons. Um, but what you wanted to know about me probably is that I was born and raised in Italy. I'm Italian.
Okay.
I am super passionate about technology. I've always been. My parents uh, bought me my first computer when I was like 5 or 6, and my love for technology evolved during the years through iOS and the Apple ecosystem. Then, um, and
Was
after
that a PC or a Mac? The
it was
first
a
computer.
PC. My first computer was a PC, and it had this like kind of gaming system that auto loaded at boot. And then after a while, I was playing a little bit, and then after a year or so, I found a way to disable the auto boot, and so I was able to finally log into Windows and start doing all sorts of things and installing
Great.
other games.
That's an
Yeah.
important thing to know about you.
Yeah. And then of course, well, I switched to the Mac system eventually when I started working, and that was when I dropped out of college to found my startup in Rome. So Rome is not your typical startup city. I
Yeah.
recognize. People usually go to San Francisco or in Europe, maybe to London or Berlin. But yeah, I had this good opportunity to start a company in Rome, and I worked there for 4 years. The company is still alive, but I wanted to change a little bit, and I joined Bending Spoons, which was very promising when I joined, and it still is, in my opinion. And so I've been there ever since.
Great. So you didn't start on Evernote, you started with other projects at Banning Stones.
Exactly. Yeah. I started when I joined. I first started on Live Quiz, which was a trivia game, a live trivia game. People from the US probably remember HQ Trivia, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we wanted to build something similar in Italy. Not exactly the same. We changed it a little bit, and we had our take on that game. But basically, the concept was that many people at the same time would connect to the game, and the game was synchronous in a very specific moment in time, and people could answer questions. Like there were 10 or 12 questions, and they were always more and more difficult as you went along with the game.
Cool.
And those who arrived at the end would win and share some money.
Pretty nice, pretty nice.
And then I worked on Splice for a little while, and on other exploratory projects, and then I finally landed on Evernote, which I was really excited for and still am.
Were you an Evernote user before?
I checked when we started working on the acquisition because I remember using it a lot,
Uh-huh.
and I think I registered my account in 2012.
Okay.
I don't remember the month, but yes, I found some old notes there. Eventually, I moved away from it because as I started working, I needed more like collaborative software. But I
Uh-huh.
was pretty surprised when I logged back in because it was maybe a few years since I stopped using it, and I was pretty surprised about how good it was. Honestly, like I
So
didn't
you
find.
started using it before Evernote 10, before the new
Yes,
changes. Okay. And then you
yes,
came back after it. Yeah, it's pretty different. It,
exactly.
it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, especially the mobile app is
Mhm.
just much more powerful than it was, and of course this is just like the original team's
Uh-huh.
merit. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about real-time editing. And I
sure.
think this is an interesting topic because this is a project that started before the acquisition. You got on board on a project that was already running. How it worked for you? Because it's a
Yeah,
big thing. It was in development for a long time.
it is. It is. Um, I was pretty impressed with the progress that the team had made on the feature. Like as I said, for the whole product, to be honest. And I was also very happy to collaborate on the second part of the project, which was,
Uh-huh.
was more about like prioritizing the last things remaining and making sure that we could bring it to the customers in production as soon as possible. And so I really enjoyed both seeing where the team brought it autonomously, and also like trying to collaborate and bring a fresh perspective on it. So it was nice. There were no problems of any sort that I can think of. So
I
it
see.
was it was really nice. A first nice way to start collaborating.
Yeah. You jumped, parachuted inside a project.
Exactly.
So what was your feeling? Did you like the idea? Had you thought about it before? Because I think you didn't know about it before arriving, so it was kind of another surprise. Was it a good surprise? Did you find it interesting?
It
How it
was.
was?
It was. I was pretty happy to know that the team was already working on one of the things that I really wanted to work on.
Oh,
So it was like, okay, this is nice. Like they're already doing something I would do. I would propose doing myself. So that's great.
nice. Um, but I have here a technical question. I'm not a
Hmm.
developer, but I have to ask this because I followed all the development of Evernote 10, all the behind the scenes video the previous CEO was putting out. And one of the things I remember he telling us was that the migration to Evernote 10 was kind of modernizing the app to prepare it for future features, especially on the editor. And on your blog post, you use the phrase. Let me read it here: "Building a new system." You use that phrasing to explain that you had to make some change on the app, technically speaking. Why was that? It is a completely different thing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So in software engineering, when you talk about evolving things or like modernizing things and rebuilding or creating new systems, um, the line between those is sometimes a bit blurred.
Uh-huh.
You often have to rebuild some pieces to unlock the evolution of others or the whole product. So when I wrote that we were building a new system, it doesn't mean that we needed to rebuild the whole Evernote. We wanted to go ahead with the Ian's. What Ian said was correct. Basically, we wanted to evolve the product and modernize it. To do that, we needed to rebuild some pieces, but not like the whole product from scratch. And so, in our case, what we did was rebuilding the backend
Okay.
flow of the note updates almost from scratch,
Oh,
and we repackaged the client front end pieces so that it would work with RTE or the CRDT system. Um, and yeah, again, this does not mean that we rewrote Evernote. We touched a fraction probably of the
okay.
of the whole code base to implement RTE, but those edits allow us to unlock many cool things, and such as like RTE itself, the new immediate sync, and more. So what Ian said and what I wrote are true. We modernized the app and its flows to prepare it for the
Okay.
advanced
So what
features.
what he did in a way helped what you did.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So it was
Yeah.
just another step on that modernizing
Yeah.
the app thing. Okay. And talking about syncing, when the feature was first activated on my account, I felt a little delay on the notes. When I clicked, it would take a few seconds. Is that related to the reconstruction?
Yes. So in order to move to this new system, we needed to build a new node format, which is actually not that different from the old one, but it's always based on ENML.
Okay.
But we still need to have a different one because of how YJS works. So when nodes are opened, when old nodes are opened in an RT client for the first time, they need to be converted first.
Okay.
The little delay that you notice, and also I notice, is exactly the conversion process.
Oh, I
So
see.
that should only happen for nodes that were opened on a non-RT client before that. So it shouldn't take more than a couple of seconds for like average nodes. Maybe some longer, more complex nodes can be slower, up to like, I don't know, 5-10 seconds or something like that. But in time, the as nodes are edited and get opened and converted, the conversion process will happen fewer and fewer times, because maybe you're basically editing 80% of notes you're editing are almost always the same or are new.
Yes.
And so later, as we are able to get customers to abandon or to move from older versions of the clients by showing that we are making good improvements on the new version. I'm not only talking about legacy, to be
Uh-huh.
specific. I'm talking about older
Before
versions in
before
general.
the real-time editing was activated.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as we move on from those versions, we will gradually abandon the old format, and so when we do that, basically all nodes should load instantly.
So,
But
but
yes,
do we need to open all our notes, or you're doing something on the background there?
right now the nodes get converted the first time that they are opened on an RTE client, um, and so if the conversion happens when you first
Click.
open them.
Okay.
In the future, we will probably have a process where we just
Okay.
bulk
Convert all of them.
convert all the nodes. The reason why we didn't do that is because um, not everybody is on an RTE compatible
Oh,
client right
I
now.
see. I see.
And so we didn't want to convert them all and then have some people needing to reconvert them back, because there is also a
Oh,
system to convert them back to the old format, of course. And so
there's
they
so many details that we never think about.
exactly exactly
So
like
it
think
would happen the other way around. If the person is on a new client,
exactly
then it would be converted back to the old state.
exactly.
Oh my God.
And in the beginning, the people on older versions are the majority, because they are
Hmm.
those who were using those versions until
Sure.
yesterday. And so as we go along, we will just need this conversion process less and less, and so gradually in time we'll stop converting them.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. That explains everything and makes a lot of sense. That the decision also makes a lot, because it would be bad for people that are not on the current client. Interesting.
Exactly. We try to optimize for like least time wasted across the whole user base.
Yeah, and I noticed that I don't, at least for now, I don't see myself using. I love the feature. A lot of my clients are loving it. I don't see a need for that. But one thing I loved was the synchronization. It's amazing now. That is a game changing. It's fantastic. I tried working on the same note in two computers, and it's working flawlessly. It's great. I love that. That for me is very good.
Also for me, like I do collaborate on notes with my team
Uh-huh.
quite often, but the in my opinion the killer feature of RTE is just the instantaneous synchronization. That's
Yes.
just nice. Also, like you have reduced conflicts, because the new system that we adopted just solves conflicts
Mhm.
always in the same way. So you'd never have like duplicated notes and stuff like that. Those should be a thing of the past. Um, but yeah, like synchronization is the best thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen any conflict anymore. But talking about that, so if there's a conflict, it will happen the same way as before. It will duplicate a node and create two nodes. Is that what's supposed to happen?
In theory, yes, but in practice, as far as I understood, there should be no way or almost no way a conflict happens anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen any conflict anymore. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
if it does, it's most likely a bug, and so
Okay.
please report it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So guys reported it. Touching on that, why I'm not using the real-time editing feature, I think it's because it's hard for me. Maybe this is a generation thing. It's hard for me to collaborate without like we are doing here, talking. So I would work on a document with you. I would open a call like this and discuss what I was changing. So do you have any plans to let us do that? Evernote has, I don't know if it still has the workshop. There's that feature that is a little hidden there since Ian Small. So is there a way that you're thinking about, so we can collaborate during a collaboration?
sure. Um, so there are different ways to collaborate on a note. So you can just jump on a quick call and start commenting like in real time what's
Hmm.
happening using your voice. Um, Also, with RT, you can see where other people are inside the note, so that's handy, because you can just tell them like, look, I'm here. What does this sentence means? And maybe they can highlight or put their cursor on that specific
Mm-hmm.
sentence, and you understand what they're talking about. Um, in my opinion, but we still haven't made no decision on this. But like
Okay.
in my opinion, the most useful thing is commenting. So the
Okay.
ability to select a word, a sentence, a piece of a title, or a piece of the note, and just write down a little comment
Okay.
there that appears on the side. And especially as you have sub comments, so like especially as the first comment
Oh, I
is able
see.
to create a thread.
Uh-huh.
Um, then that way you can start doing it. It's useful in my opinion, both because it's very um, it's asynchronous, and so you can just
Mm-hmm.
like it's the middle of the night, maybe for some reason you want to work, then
Good
you can
point.
just do it, and then the other person can take it back in the morning when they wake up, or vice
Uh-huh.
versa. And second is the fact that you can just like create a conversation about a specific sentence, about a specific piece of the note. So and this is not something that we are inventing, of course. Like it's been on Microsoft Word for
Mm-hmm.
ages. Google Doc
Google
also
has
has it
it.
now.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
Google has.
So
So
yeah,
it's kind of that. We'll have a little window and we'll be able to chat and talk about that sentence, kind of what
yeah.
Google has.
As I said, we still haven't prioritized this. I
Okay.
think that the if we in the future want to prioritize making notes even more collaborative, then
Okay, I
the
see.
natural follow is commenting and this ability to comment sentence. But the important thing to understand about the Evernote roadmap in general right now is that we are committing the vast majority of our engineering firepower to um, synchronization, reliability,
Okay.
performance, and stuff like that. Like the real foundations of what a note taking app should do, like making sure that it's quick. You can just write down something very reliably. It doesn't lose notes. It syncs instantly. So yeah, we
Great to
are
hear
we are.
that. And I can see the progress. It's getting better and better and better. Thank you for that.
Oh, it's not my merit. It's the team is doing an amazing work.
Thank the team for us. It's
I
getting
will.
better. It's getting better and better.
Thank you.
Okay, and talking about future, one thing my audience asks all the time, for example, is collapsible uh, headings, titles. They love that idea in Evernote. They've been asking this even before Evernote 10. Because I'm doing this for so long, so people ask
Uh-huh.
this all the time. And there are other things, but this is one that came to my mind now. Is there any plans to work on the editor? For example, another thing people ask a lot: why is there so few fonts on Evernote? I of course know because Ian Small explained that, but are you planning to work on the editor more on the editor?
It's a complex point because Evernote is already pretty feature rich. I would
Mhm.
say that probably it has, if not the most advanced, one of the most advanced feature sets of any note taking app. Like you can do all sorts of things. You can scribble some hand notes. You can annotate PDFs. You can recognize text from images and stuff. And these are only the advanced features. Then you have all the basics
Mhm.
that people use all the time. So we always look to find a balance. So on one hand, it's already extremely feature rich, and we don't want to add any unnecessary complexity. There are some features that are really used by very few users that make it more complex for everybody else, even those who don't want to use them because you need to find your buttons, etc. So it's a balance. On the other hand, um, the editor is the core of the Evernote experience.
Yes.
So it's always worth improving. Um, so as I said, what we're focusing right now is performance and reliability. So we want to make sure that what it does already it does fast and well. But we are also looking to improve the core experience by adding things. For instance, about fonts, I can start with fonts. Um, what you were so you were referring to Ian, and probably what you meant was that it's hard to increase the amount of fonts that everyone can
Yeah,
support
because each
in.
client has different fonts.
Exactly. So on Windows you have I don't know, like Comic Sans, for instance.
Yeah.
It should be I'm not sure if they brought it to macOS or other
I doubt it.
OSs. After it became a meme, maybe
Yeah,
they did.
maybe.
But of course, you have different fonts for every different platform, and they are native fonts, and so it's not easy to synchronize those between different operating systems, both from a technical point of view, but also from a licensing point of view. Because if there are some like macOS fonts, it might be hard to get the license to use
Okay.
them on other systems
Oh,
too.
I see. Oh, another point I never thought about. So sometimes
So
you purchase a font and you have a license to use that font, but the other person doesn't.
exactly. So the way other services have solved this is by having a new collection of fonts. So like for instance, Google Fonts has like a library of a lot of fonts that they either built or they licensed somehow. And so, if, for instance, inside Google Docs, you can use the Google Fonts library. Um, on Evernote, what we could do is we could bring more fonts inside
Mhm.
Evernote. But what I see being asked from people generally is not the ability to have any new font, is the ability to have that specific font that they want. But
Oh.
unfortunately, what they want is most often a specific font inside their operating system
Oh,
library,
a font that
because
they
that's
usually use on otother places.
yeah, but that's understandable, right? Because that's what
Okay.
they already have on their machine, and that's what they use often on other softwares. And so it's understandable, but I am pretty sure that this is not going to happen because it did create
Oh, I see.
a lot of difficulty in the past to handle this kind of synchronization. And so,
Yeah, and I remember this happening because I was always a multi-client user. I
mhm,
used to have an Android, an iPhone, and Windows, Mac, and sometimes would go crazy. The spaces and everything. But one
yeah.
thing I do miss is the ability to set uh, default sizes and fonts. This used to be a thing in the past. You could set, "Oh, I want this font, I want this size, and I want for all my notes." It is something that you're thinking about bringing back.
Well, this we are considering like the ability to have more um, control over how you handle your font sizes and titles and all that stuff inside the note. We haven't prioritized anything yet, but it's something that I saw many people requesting. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making Evernote better.
Oh, no worry. That's what I want to do, and we're always looking to hear more from our users and to understand more what they need, and like especially the reason why they need something, because most times people would tell us like, please do this, but what I want to understand is why do you need that? It's not like only the feature request. I just want to
Uh,
understand what is your problem, what are you trying to solve, and so that maybe we can create something that, because maybe what you're requesting is just you, and so
yes.
in that case it's not very powerful, because if only one person is asking for it doesn't make sense to make the whole product more complex for everybody else. But maybe what you want is just your idea of how you would solve your problem, but actually that problem is shared by many users, and so in that case of course it's worth solving.
Or it may cause a problem to many users.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is something interesting in Evernote because everybody has a perfect view of Evernote. This is my perfect Evernote. Everybody has this perfect system, and usually it's quite different from one person to the other. So
Yeah,
you have a
yeah.
big problem there.
There are some very polarizing features that I constantly hear from users and people saying like, "I hate that feature. I don't need it at all. Please remove it." And then like my next call with a user is, "I love that feature. Please improve it. Please, you should only focus on that and improve that because it's amazing." So it's you have a pretty diverse and opinionated
Yeah.
customer base, and I love it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Vlad. Thank you
Hope
very
to see you
much.
soon.
All right.
Bye bye.